Man United have made an improved bid to sign Bryan Mbeumo. Is it Mbuemo or Mbuemo? What are we saying here? Because I'm hearing different takes.
Mbuemo is how I've always been taught to say it, yeah. But this has been one of the sagas of the summer, hasn't it? I think it's over 40 days ago that we first reported Manchester United were stepping up their pursuit of Brentford's main goal scorer from last season. I was told 3 weeks ago by sources at Brentford that a medical was expected to take place. The two clubs were expected to come to an agreement. Here we are 3 weeks later, and that still hasn't happened. But there does seem to be positivity now on all sides. This deal will finally be agreed. £65 million guaranteed is Manchester United's third and probably final offer. There are some add-ons in the deal as well that would take it to £70 million. But I'm told those add-ons are not easily attainable. They're dependent on team success as opposed to personal achievement. Qualifying for the Champions League, I think, would net Brentford an extra few quid. And from Mbumo's part, he's made it clear all the way along, despite interest from Newcastle and some tentative talk about Tottenham as well, that Manchester United are the club for him. I have got a little conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Now, hear me out here. It's July the 17th, and Mbuemo only returned to training with Brentford a few days ago after being given an extended summer break, if you like. So what Manchester United have done here by only making this third bid now is save themselves a couple of weeks' wages. If they'd signed him so that he came in on July the 1st, for example, they would have effectively been paying him decent money, in excess of £200,000 a week, I'm told, to not train for 2 weeks. So maybe there is a little bit of sensible negotiating that's gone on for Manchester United.
What about 70 million quid, Crookie? Value, or do you think that's a little bit too much? Where are you on that?
I think it's the top end of what Manchester United wanted to pay, but Brentford saw what Matheus Cunha went for. They pointed out during negotiations that Mbuemo is younger than Cunha. He scored more goals in the Premier League last season than Cunha did for Wolves. So I think they wanted at least 62.5 million. As I say, the 65 goes slightly above that. You've seen Anthony Elanga go from Forest to Newcastle for a deal that could rise to 60 million. So that seems the going rate, doesn't it? And I think it's interesting, if you look at what Manchester United are doing so far this summer, with the two big signings they've made, Cunha and hopefully Mbuemo from a United perspective, they're targeting players proven in the Premier League. Now, if you look at their transfer business over the past few windows, that hasn't always been the case. They've taken a gamble on players like Rasmus Højlund, paid £72 million for him, unproven in the Premier League. Joshua Zirkzee, obviously a lot less than that last summer. But I think Ruben Amorim really wants players who are up to speed with what it takes to play in the Premier League and can hit the ground running, and they feel that Mbuemo will do that.
Interesting. On the subject then of Man United, can we speak about the players that might be going the other way then? Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony. Garnacho linked to Aston Villa. Are we any further forward with that?
No, I think Villa are one of a number of clubs who are monitoring the situation. I wouldn't rule out Chelsea either, who obviously made inquiries about Garnacho in January, and I think he's still on their list. They can get players like Christopher Nkunku and maybe Nicholas Jackson off the payroll. I think Garnacho's preference is to stay in Europe and probably to stay in the Premier League. There is interest from Saudi Arabia, but it doesn't seem he's keen to make that move at this moment in time. And again, he is proven in the Premier League. I'd bracket him in the same category as Marcus Rashford, really, because what Manchester United's history and their DNA is built on is academy players coming into the first team and prospering. And the fact you've got two such players who are persona non grata, they've fallen out with the manager. I think they've alienated a lot of the fan base as well. I think that's quite a sad reflection on where they're at this moment in time.
Yeah, no, I think I agree, Crookie. I mean, it's and I think you do get there has to be a line in the sand where you just go, right, that's it, get them gone, get them out the door. For and you can chop and change your minds every 5 minutes. You can watch a player 1 minute, not fancy him, and then change your mind all of a sudden. But I think with Marcus Rashford and Garnacho, I think there's plenty that's happened there with those boys, and I think the manager's absolutely decided, look, I'd rather they get gone, so go and find yourselves a club, sell them as quick as they can.
Yeah.
But not easy to do, as we're seeing. Not easy.
Exactly that. Johan Wissa, Crookie, the latest name today to be linked with Newcastle.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating summer for Newcastle so far in many ways. Obviously, they've got the Elanga deal over the line, which I think is tremendous. Yeah. If they can keep Alexander Isak, I think that would be a big win in this window, because we know there's strong interest from Liverpool. But they've tried for a lot of players who've decided to go elsewhere. People like Dean Howson, I think, was always going to go to Real Madrid. João Pedro, I think, always had his sights set on Chelsea, even though Newcastle showed interest. And Mbuemo himself, as I mentioned at the top of this section, he always wanted Manchester United. So it's certainly not for the want of trying. Eddie Howe and Andy Howe, who's now heading a lot of the recruitment because there isn't a sporting director, they are trying to get deals done. Ugo Ekitike looks like he is Liverpool bound. That was a player that Newcastle have been trying this week to sign. But they obviously do still want a forward. They want a backup option and someone even to play alongside Alexander Isak. And again, Yoane Wissa would seem to make a lot of sense. He too scored a lot of goals for Brentford in the Premier League last season, but they're not alone in their interest. Newcastle, Spurs and Thomas Frank would be keen. Nottingham Forest have had a bid rejected already this summer, but they're trying Newcastle. And I would just tell their fans to stay patient. And actually, I think if you speak to a lot of Newcastle fans, when this Ekitike-Isak saga sort of developed, if they had a choice, sign Ekitike, but you lose Alexander Isak to Liverpool, I think they would have opted to keep Isak.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.